back. Anyway, I'm not sure about back east, down south. Like I said, it depends on the area and stuff. But my grandmother, my grandmothers, they were all cool, and when they met another person, that was of another culture or whatever, they appreciated them. They didn't just go off and stuff like that. So if I was that guy, I would just make another commercial and I wouldn't even use black women. I just wouldn't. Because I just out of the fear, not out of the fear, but just out of the just to avoid confrontation and misunderstanding. I wouldn't say conversation, I would say misunderstanding. I would just do it, and I would use other women. And basically what it is not saying, and the people are going to say, well, you're just advocating mixed marriage and all that stuff. No, it's not that. It's just a point that within the black woman came everyone else. Her children, everyone came from her. You know what I'm saying? And regardless, and this is just, it would just be a subliminal message saying, hey, you people, you hating a black woman, but remember, you came from her, she didn't come from you. And then the message to the black women is just say, hey, I'm making this just so that there won't be any misunderstandings. And I would continue to make commercials that would represent my grandmother and my grandfather. And then at the bottom, I would just write, the reason we're using different other women and stuff like that is because my grandmother had appreciation for all women of all cultures, and she didn't discriminate against anyone. And I am positively sure my mother would not mind me, would not mind other women representing her in this commercial. And I would just have that going across the bottom, that little statement, so people can understand and things like that. And basically, it might sound funny, it might sound strange, really I don't care, because like I said, when I was coming up, we had black love, black women, respect and love black men respect and love black women. Of course, you have your people out there who didn't, but you have that in all nationalities. Recently on, I forgot what country, but the girl who did something and her husband chopped her nose off and they had that on the front of some People's magazine or some magazine, I forget, Times magazine or something, it was one of those magazines, and they had it, she was a beautiful woman with her nose all chopped off, you know what I'm saying? So, the violence towards women is just not in black communities, you know what I'm saying? And you can watch TV and see all of that stuff. But basically, I'm just saying, this guy and Pepsi going to suffer for his ignorance. It's just really sad, and it's really sad. And what it leads to, another thing too, is that, right, you got a lot of women, really getting upset because of this angry thing, but I'm gonna tell you something. Black women have nothing on Japanese women when it comes to getting angry. These women out here, they are vicious. When you get the wrong ones, when they get ticked off, they do not care. I've known a person him and his wife will fight. She popped him in his mouth. He bleed, and they fighting every day, and he'll punch her, and she'll hit him right back, because these Japanese women, they're not gonna just squinch or fall to the ground when they feel pain. They're gonna take it and they're gonna fight back. And they would fight back. Black men and black woman. A Japanese woman. Well, he wasn't actually American black, but he was from another country, but still he's black. And they was going at it and stuff. And then and then sometimes they stayed together for a long time too. And one day she just straight up said, you know what, you're a poor black man, or something like that, or she used the N-word or something, I don't know, she just, and you always thinking this is coming from, your own women, or maybe some white women, but when it's coming from a Japanese person, and you got these Japanese images and stuff like that, it's a trip, Japanese woman, and she was into reggae and all of this stuff, and most of the men she dated were not, I don't think she had not ever dated an American black. They were Jamaican for Haitian or wherever, and or African, and it was just a trip, does she do that? And, you know, black men out there in the States, you know, you having problems with the women and stuff like that, you know. And I was looking on the internet, and I saw this one commercial. It had this, or someone sent it to me, where it was a magazine where it had these three sisters on it, you know, they all looking like white girls and stuff, you know, and with the long hair and stuff, right? Which I think white women should be offensive to that and go out and say, hey, you black women, you know, you got your own hairstyle, you know, be yourself, you know, don't imitate us, you know. I mean, white women could get upset about that too, you know. Your women, your black women, when your hair stands up, your hair defines gravity. Why do you want your hair to fall to the ground? Why do you want your hair to bow down when it can stand up? Naturally, it's standing up, right? You know, they can do that. But in it, it had something like black women don't need black men or something like that. And I was like, huh? I'm like, oh man, they tripping now, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, and I'm not saying they black women, but I'm just saying, you know, the magazines that would print that and stuff like that, you know. And a lot of black men say, oh, they're attacking us. But, you know, it goes back. That reminds me of this story that one of my other videos about when I was in Hawaii. I was in a gym, and these 6 Samoans walked in. I had only been there for like 2 weeks, and they were huge. I mean, the shortest one was bigger than I was, and it was no way if we got in a fight, you know, I would probably got knocked out on the first punch. I mean, them dudes were huge, and I got elbowed once, you know, walking in the club, and this dude had his girl, and I wasn't paying attention. And I bumped into this dude's elbow, and it kind of put a bump on my eye. I was like, dang. And I just looked at him. He barely budged, and he just turned around and looked at me. You know, I looked at him, and I was like, man, these dudes got a lot of strength. But I ain't going to say they Superman, because I've seen some brothers in the military, some skinny brothers in the military fight with them, and, you know, they held their own. And these guys go back in the club, and they had black eyes, you know, or they, you know, have marks on their faces and stuff. So I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, you know, because I ran into a bone, so I guess, you know, that'll happen and stuff, you know. But it was just, but anyway, we were in the gym, and so they surrounded me, and they got on me about black men and they women in Hawaii, and I was like, what are you talking about? Because I didn't know what a Samoan was, and Hawaiian was, and a Tongan, and whomever, what they all look like, because they all look the same to me, you know. And so anyway, basically what I told them was, listen, you're not respecting your own culture. You know, you have a beautiful culture, but you're rejecting your culture trying to be black, and your women see that. And your women can only going to respect your culture for so long. But if a man don't respect his own culture, and basically this is being how can I say that? One of those male chauvinist kind of a statement, you know, because actually the culture should be held by both men and the women. It shouldn't just only be one. But I said, but, you know, they didn't catch it and all that stuff. And back then, people weren't really thinking about that. But what I told them, I said, if you don't respect your own culture, then why should your women respect it? I said, because you're supposed to be the leaders, and you got all the strength and all of this stuff. So if you don't respect your culture and you run around here imitating black people, then your women are just going to straight up say, well, hey, why have an imitation when we can have the real thing? And that's what's probably going on in the black neighborhoods too. You know, I mean, like American blacks, you know, we're probably the only blacks in the world. I wouldn't say in the world, but the only blacks who really didn't take up arms and fight against the slave masters and stuff. You know, the North did it, and they didn't do it. They didn't even do it for us. They did it for their own capitalism and stuff like that. And I'm not saying fight now, you know, there's other ways you can go about doing that, you know, just educate yourself, move up, you know, get together, find the people that wants to live the kind of lives you have, band together, and take over these offices and change things for the good. And you're always going to have good and evil, you know, so you'll go back and forth with that, you know, whatever, you know, because you got these groups and stuff that want to do what they want. But what I'm saying is, you know, but I'm not even really trying to say that, you know, and all that stuff. But basically what I'm saying is that find your culture, find who you are, and be yourself. And then when you be yourself, your women, they'll come back. And if they don't want to come back, then, you know, don't worry about them. talk, you